All right, what's good with y'all, man? What's good, man? It's your boy Jared Bless coming at y'all with another video. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, guys. Follow me on Twitter at RealJaredRanks. We're gonna get straight into it. Immediate reaction to UFC 281. I cannot believe what my eyes just saw. We're gonna jump straight into it. So we're gonna do a fight by fight analysis, and you guys are gonna know how my picks went and all that stuff because we did a pick video before this. So let's get straight into it. First fight was Nikolai Negumereanu, and if you guys are wondering what I'm looking at, guys, I'll give you a quick glimpse. I have everything that I wrote down from the fight before the fight. This is when I picked it, and I'll tell you what I had. So Nikolai Negumereanu versus Carlos Ulberg. I had Nikolai Negumereanu winning that fight. I thought that his forward pressure would be a problem for Carlos Ulberg, but right away in the early stages of the fight, Carlos Ulberg lands some, at least the first three leg kicks that Carlos Ulberg threw at Nikolai Negumereanu, it pretty much just compromised him right away. And the forward pressure ended up just not even being a thing that mattered anymore, because from there, Carlos Ulberg was able to ultimately just land a shot that put Nikolai out. Pretty much followed him up with some little bit extra shots, and the fight was just pretty much over. When I picked Nikolai Negumereanu to win the fight, I said that I was not confident in that pick, and I thought the fight would end in a finish, and that's exactly what happened. So I wasn't confident in the pick, but the fight did end in a finish, so I got it right from that regard. Next fight we had was Montel Jackson versus Julio Arce, and I literally said I think that Montel Dustin ended up really winning the fight by split decision. I could be wrong. I didn't hear the actual result of the fight. I forgot what I was doing, but from what I saw in the fight when I was watching it, Montel Jackson was pretty much cool, calm, collected. Julio Arce's takedown defense held up. When Montel Jackson let go with his strikes, he was able to actually do some good things. He did get a knockdown, so he held his own on the feet, was barely hit, so that striking defense held up. Julio Arce just did a really good job of not going to the ground or not being taken down. He even got a takedown himself, but Montel Jackson's forward pressure, the clinching on the cage, some top control and the knockdown, that pretty much won him the fight. But from what I had in the in my confidence, I had slightly confident in Montel Jackson, and I had him winning by split decision. I even said in my picks video that I felt that the fight could possibly be boring, or it could be a finish. So, but right here I just had that whoever would win by split decision, and I think that's literally what happened for Montel Jackson, because when I looked at the scorecards, I could have swore I saw one judge had it like 28-29. So either that's a split decision or a majority decision. I'm not sure. One of you guys let me know in the comment section. But next up we had Mike Trizano versus Seung-Woo Choi. That's what I like to call him. I call him Seung-Woo Choi. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. It's Seung-Woo Choi. Okay? If you don't like it, get out of here. But yeah, I had him winning. I was not confident in the pick, but I did think the fight was going to end in KO. I got the pick right, and he won by KO. Pretty much just a crazy fight right off the rip. That fight could have been fight of the night, and it was only one round, but the double knockdown was crazy. Seung-Woo Choi landed some good shots, and so did Mike Trizano. Mike Trizano was just slightly more composed, while Seung-Woo Choi was just pretty much wild and out of control. When he landed the left hook early, he kept looking to land the same shot over and over and over again, and it just didn't work out for him. So in the end, Mike Trizano was able to get that crazy finish. So yeah, that was pretty much all it was for the fight. It was only one round, but it was very entertaining for the one round that it was. If that's the first time you guys have ever seen a double knockdown live, drop a like on this video, man, because that was crazy. That's the first time I ever seen it live. But yeah, at that point, I got that fight right. The next fight was Silvana Gomez Juarez versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I was slightly confident in the pick for Gomez Juarez, and I thought the fight would either end in a KO or a decision. I was right from that aspect because Karolina ended up winning by decision. But pretty much the fight went like this. First round, Karolina got the takedown and was pretty much able to control Juarez Gomez on the ground the entire round. The next round, I thought that Gomez Juarez was able to win the striking exchanges. And the last round, I thought the same thing was happening for Gomez Juarez until she got that random trip sequence where she ended up, losing the fight. The judges ended up giving the fight to Karolina. But very weird sequence that happened with the judges where, they gave the cards to Bruce Buffer. And then after that, they were kind of like, one of the judges had to come into the ring and change the score. It was very weird. People on Twitter was going crazy. Obviously, I had my money on Gomez Juarez, and I pretty much thought that she won the fight, but I wasn't shocked that the judges were going to give the fight to Karolina because of how dominant she was in the first round and because of the third round trip sequence where it looked like a knockdown or it looked like a takedown, and in the end, they were just going to give that towards Karolina. So if that sequence didn't happen, I really truly feel that Gomez Juarez would have won that fight, but it is what it is. That's another thing I got wrong. So at this point, we're 2-2. into the fights. Next up was Ottman and Zaire. I was confident in that pick. I thought the fight would end by KO decision, which it ended by KO. But in the end, the biggest issue ended up being that Ottman Azaire's time missed from the octagon the past 2 years had an effect on him. He wasn't able to catch his rhythm. Matt Frevola was just very explosive, throwing the strikes. I think he landed a left hook in close. The only thing that came to my mind watching that fight is that maybe whatever Ottman Azaire had in that bag from that incident on Fight Island 2 years ago, maybe it was something that he shouldn't have had in the bag. He shouldn't have been delivering, and it probably was just karma and the fight gods coming back to get him, because he just lost a fight that I thought he should have clearly won. But yeah, Matt Frevola definitely just, he was definitely a dangerous opponent. He had the ability to wrestle. He also had the power. And Matt Frevola's last fight, he did beat an undefeated fighter. So he's done it before. Can't be too shocked that he did it again. So that just is what it is. So at that point, 2-3. Tough. I ain't gonna lie, it's tough. Next fight we had was Andre Petroski versus Wellington Turman. I was confident in this pick, and I thought this fight would end by either submission or decision, which I was correct in again. And it ended in decision. Andre Petroski won the fight. Pretty much how that fight went. Wellington Turman had a decent first round, but pretty much from the rest of the fight, Andre Petroski was able to just land takedowns, get control time. That's pretty much how the fight went. There was a couple of sequences where I thought Petroski was going to be able to finish the fight. He had top mount in a couple of positions. He had a pretty deep guillotine that I thought was going to end the fight, but it didn't. But that was pretty much the way how the fight played out. Wellington Turman had a good first round, and then pretty much Andre Petroski just dominated the rest of the fight. He landed up like 5+ takedowns or so. So yeah, the fight was just pretty much easily won for him. So that's how it went. I got that one right. The next fight was Erin Blanchfield versus Molly McCann. I picked Erin Blanchfield, but I wasn't confident. I literally put not confident, and I thought that she'd win by decision. And the only reason I wasn't confident, because it's women's MMA, guys. Like, it just felt like a trap. I thought it was a trap. Maybe the Gomez Juarez ended up being the trap for me. When you bet on women's MMA, anything could happen. I thought that Molly McCann could run out there and land some crazy weird shot, but I still picked her to win the fight because she just had the wrestling to be able to beat Molly McCann. And the level of competition that Molly McCann beat just wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough for me to say, yes, Molly McCann is definitely a lock. She's definitely going to win this fight. It was just kind of me just saying, like, yeah, it's definitely not worth it for me to pick this person to win this fight. So that's how the fight played out. Erin Blanchfield pretty much just dominated the fight. I didn't even really get into it. She dominated the fight. She took Molly McCann down, had her in the crucifix, just pretty much beat on her for the entirety of the fight. And I think I didn't see the last sequence because it kind of chipped out for me. I think she ended up winning by a submission or something of that nature. We're going to actually check that really quickly because I want to make sure I get that right. She was just on top the entire time, throwing down punches. I think she won by submission. Let's just search it up really fast. We doing this. We record this. We'll be doing it live, man. So, Erin Blanchfield. Yeah, she won by submission. So that's pretty much how the fight went. Pure domination. Molly McCann could not do anything. Erin Blanchfield just on top, hammering away. And Molly McCann did literally nothing in the fight. So yeah, that's how that fight went. I got that right. Next fight was Dominic Reyes versus Ryan Spann. I had Dominic Reyes. I picked him to win. Slight confidence. I thought the fight was going to end in the finish. And man, oh man, did Reyes get absolutely cracked. His chin is gone, man. His chin is gone. He just took way too much damage versus Jerry Prochazka. Way too much damage. That was a deadly knockout. I was concerned for him when I watched that fight versus him and Jerry Prochazka. Very, very concerned. Blachowicz absolutely beat him up badly. Battered his stomach off those leg kicks and then smashed his face. And then the same thing happened with Ryan Spann. Ryan Spann just landed some good punches on him. Got him out of there very, very quickly. At this point, I'm just me being a fan of the sport. I'm just concerned for Dominic Reyes. I'm concerned for him because the amount of damage that he's taken since that John Jones fight, I'm concerned for him. I honestly don't want to see him fight anymore because at this, like, you're a light heavyweight. Every single light heavyweight can knock you out. They all hit heavy. Once the bigger the weight, the heavier they hit. Man, I'm concerned for him, man. He just can't take a punch anymore. Like, that's just what it is. He can't take a punch, and he's just falling down the rankings. What happened with him and John Jones was the worst thing that could have happened in his career. When I watched him versus John Jones, I thought that he won the fight, but that's just the way how the game goes sometimes. Maybe the judges are not going to give you a fight. You got to learn to move on, and I think he just wasn't able to move on from that Jones fight. At the time, it was warranted. You know, a lot of people thought he won. I thought he won. I watched the fight. I'm like, man, I just watched John Jones win, or John Jones lose his first fight, and the judges gave it to John Jones. So that was the worst thing that could have happened to Reyes' career, and he just hasn't been able to bounce back for it. And I'm just praying for him, man, because that type of damage a man is taking right now, it's just bad. So prayers for Dominic Reyes. He got flatlined again. Hey, prayers for him. That's all I can really say. I was wrong in that regard. But next fight was Brad Riddell. I had him winning, slight confidence. I had him winning by decision. This might have been the first fight that I was wrong about the outcome of the fight, how it was going to go, in my opinion. Yeah. Hanada O'Connor just got the back position and just choked him out. Brad Riddell really wasn't able to do much of anything, to my knowledge, from what I remember watching. He wasn't really able to do much. Hanada O'Connor was just very, very, very dangerous with his BJJ. He's very dangerous. You know, he was on a 2-fight win streak until he took that fight against RDA on short notice, and he pretty much just got dominated. You're not beating RDA on short notice for a 5-round fight. It's just not going to happen. You're at a disadvantage. So I don't think a lot of people are going to hold that against him, especially after how well he performed against Brad Riddell. And now Brad Riddell is on a 3-fight losing finishing streak. First, he got spinning wheel kicked by Rafael Fiziev. Then he got guillotine choked by Jalen Turner. Then he got rear naked choke by Hanada O'Connor. So it's not looking good for Brad Riddell. 3 straight losses by finish. I don't know what's next for him, but yeah, his ground game is looking really bad at this point. Like, he's getting submitted back to back, so I don't know what's going to happen. And even on the feet, he was getting spinning wheel kicks. So, hey, prayers for Brad Riddell, man, because you don't know how man's head is, where his head is at this point. Next fight was Claudio Puelles versus Dan Hooker. I had Claudio Puelles winning. I was not confident in the pick. I thought the fight would end by submission or decision, and I was wrong in that regard. I think it might have been ended by a leg injury. From what I was watching, it was very confusing. I just remember Claudio Puelles trying to go for diving leg locks and stuff like that, and I thought he pretty much had one of the leg locks pretty much locked in, but it didn't go that way for him. I'm not sure if Dan Hooker landed a leg kick, or if Claudio Puelles got checked or something like that, but the fight was stopped in a TKO. And Dan Hooker got the victory. He was very smart on the feet, very great in the defensive exchanges. When he was in a bad position to be leg locked, he was in a very horrible position, but he stayed calm. He was patient on the feet, not too wild, and he's back in the win column. So great for Dan Hooker. Bad for Claudio Puelles. These BJJ guys that are just so reliant on their BJJ and nothing else, it's starting to show that that's not going to be the way for them to really do much of anything. They have to learn some striking or something, because just diving at legs like Ryan Hall, it's not going to do much for you. You're not winning the world championship that way. I can tell you that much. Especially not in 2022 with these type of fighters. So tough break for Claudio Puelles. Next fight was Chris Gutierrez versus Frankie Edgar. I was confident in this fight that he'd get the finish, and that's exactly what happened. Tough way to see Frankie Edgar go out like that, but come on, man. Like, the guy's chin was gone. When you start to get flying knee by Corey Sandhagen, front kick to the face by Chito Vera, and then you get kneed by Chris Gutierrez, it's like, I kind of wish he would have already retired already and just rolled off into the sunset. But that's the name of the game, man. The sport is tough. You have to know when it's your time to go. You can't keep running around, staying in the game, getting punched in your face, fine. You have to know when it's just time to walk away. This is not basketball. This is not baseball. You can't just be out there, you're going to take damage for sure. You're going to get hit. Same thing with football. You're going to get hit. You got to know when it's your time to just walk away from the sport. And it just sucks to see Frankie Edgar go like that. And to have his kids at the side of the octagon, to me, it's just a stupid move. Like, your chin's not the same. And I don't want to jump on Frankie for that. I don't want to, I'm just being real right now. It just sucks to see him go out like that, and for his kids to have to witness their dad get put out like that live. It just that's how a lot of people like to leave their kids home, man, when they go into these fights. It's dangerous. But yeah, I got that fight rightfully. Next up, I had Dustin Poirier beating Michael Chandler. Y'all see we got the Poirier hoodie on, man. Y'all know Poirier, my #1 favorite fighter. I was going crazy in that fight. I had him winning by finish. I was expecting a KO, even though I put finish, but he did end up getting the finish anyway, so I'm going to give myself that W. But this is how the fight went. First round, Michael Chandler was very explosive. As you guys saw my Poirier video, I made a Poirier versus Chandler video for a reason, guys. I made that video for a reason so you guys can hear what I had to say about that fight. I knew that the only way that Chandler was going to have some type of chance to win is if he implemented wrestling, and he did that well. But the problem with Chandler, he throws too many looping shots and not enough straight shots. He had Dustin in trouble in the first round. He had him on the cage in some very scary positions. He was able to land some great takedowns. But at the ending of the first round, Dustin did He had Chandler on the cage, very hurt badly. So, I felt great at the ending of the first round. Second round, Chandler got Poirier back up to the cage again. He landed a takedown and pretty much controlled the entire round on top. I was very, very worried, very scared at that point, because at that point I thought it was 1-1, but it could have easily been 2-0 because Chandler did a lot of good things in the first round. It's just that at the ending of the round, Poirier put on a nice barrage of punches that had Chandler hurt. Now, round 3, this is where it got crazy. Chandler, and shout out to Dustin Poirier's coach, because they told him that he had to he couldn't back up anymore. He couldn't go to the back of the cage. That's all Chandler wanted to do. Use his explosiveness, his power to back you up to the cage and get a takedown. Poirier wasn't going for it. And the crazy thing about it is Chandler actually did shoot a takedown in the open. Poirier's determination, he was able to roll out of it and get top mount. He landed some damaging shots really quickly. He landed an elbow that kind of forced Chandler to turn. Once Chandler turned, Poirier jumped on the back mount. He locked in the backpack pretty quickly. He knocked in the backpack, the body triangle pretty quickly. And from there, he was able to get in the rear naked choke. Once he dropped backwards, he fully locked it in and was able to submit Michael Chandler. And MMA is crazy, guys, because if anybody thought that was going to happen to Chandler in terms of, like, he's going to get choked, we wouldn't have thought that Poirier wouldn't have been able to... I believed in Poirier, but I'm saying the general senses, it's like if Charles Oliveira couldn't finish a rare naked choke on Michael Chandler while he had his back, you wouldn't really think that Poirier would do it. But MMA is crazy, guys. That's why they say don't play MMA math. Do not do MMA math because it will not go your way. You will be wrong. So yeah, Poirier got the choke. I was hella happy, hella excited. He said he's not really worried about the title right now, which I get. And it's great to see him get these wins. Every time he loses the championship fight, he always bounces back. Mr. Bounce Back, I call him now. But for him, I don't know. Maybe I want to see him fight Rafael Fiziev or Beneil Dariush. I feel like whoever gets to fight Gaethje, they'll give that next guy to Poirier. So if Rafael Fiziev fights Gaethje, then they'll definitely give Dariush to Poirier, I think. But Oliveira's kind of in the limbo right now, so I don't know who they're going to make Oliveira fight. I think it makes sense to give Oliveira Beneil Dariush. I think Beneil Dariush deserves that fight. If he beats Dustin Poirier, then it'll be like a little bit of a loop there where they'll be like, well, Poirier lost to Oliveira, so I think they need to do Oliveira versus Dariush. But I'm not here to do lightweight matchmaking. I'll do a video about that afterwards, and we can talk about that at a different time. So next up, we had Zhang Weili versus Carlos Esparza. I didn't have a prediction for how that fight was going to go the last 2 fights. I was just slightly confident in Zhang Weili, and pretty much Zhang Weili just pretty much dominated the fight in a standpoint, I would say. She pretty much pressured forward. There were some good scrambles on the ground, but Carlos Esparza really had nothing on the feet. She was able to get top control for a little bit, but Zhang Weili is just way too strong for Esparza. Esparza needs to work on her striking. Like, she's had a great career, 2-time champion. She just hasn't been able to defend the belt when she got it. She just needs to work on her striking. That's it with Esparza. I think she needs to put on some more muscle, because she's very good against the rest of the division. But if she can get stronger, she'll be able to compete at that championship level. The way how the fight ended, it was a crazy sequence. Zhang Weili jumped on the back of Carlos Esparza. She kind of had like a back crucifix, and she was able to get like a side choke. And Carlos Esparza was doing a good job at first controlling the left hand of Zhang Weili. And once she let it get loose, Zhang Weili was able to get that back mount crucifix, rear naked choke. It was weird, but she got the finish. So it was good to see Zhang Weili get the title back. I thought that she won versus Rose, their second fight, but she didn't do herself any favors in that 5th round versus Rose in the second fight, where she was pretty much laid on her back for the whole 5th round. That was a big mistake on her part. If she hadn't did that, she would have definitely won that second fight. So yeah, Zhang Weili's a champion again. I think now she's going to hold on to the belt for a little while. I don't really see who's going to be able to beat her. But there's some interesting matchups at strawweight where things could happen, can start to shake. So interested to see what's going to happen at strawweight next. But last but not least, we have IZZY Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. And I picked IZZY to win, and I literally put right on this notes right here, not confident. This is the ending of it, so you guys can see that there's no lie here. That's what I picked. You guys can see it. Screenshot it, do what we need to do. But in the end, we end up going 7-7 in terms of picks. But I'll break down how the fight went. IZZY was able to have some great success either at the ending of the first round or the ending of the... I think it was at the ending of the first round. IZZY hurt Pereira. he was able to pretty much build the lead throughout the throughout the rounds. Pereira, I think Pereira won round number 2 because he was able to land a takedown and he had some pretty good striking exchanges. And then Izzy won round 1, 2, and 3. Izzy did a good job of getting Pereira down at certain moments, having him from a background position, landing some strikes. I thought he should have went for the choke, but he didn't. And on the feet, he had some good moments where, he kind of clinched Alex Pereira, put him on the cage. But I think the biggest mistake that happened for Izzy was he didn't try to shoot for takedowns at all the entire fight. So we get to the 5th round, and it's kind of like the same thing what happened to Kamaru Usman. You're up in the fight, you're winning. Even though with Izzy, he wasn't winning as convincingly as Kamaru Usman was winning. So the Kamaru Usman one was definitely a little bit worse. I think people are less shocked to see Izzy lose this fight because we've seen him lose to Pereira before, kind of in the same fashion. This is what happened in their second fight in kickboxing. Izzy hurt Pereira a few times, had him in trouble, and in the end, he'd end up getting finished. And the same thing happened for Izzy again. He got hurt on the fence. Pereira started to let some shots go, and instead of trying to shoot for a takedown, Izzy was trying to like clinch onto Alex Pereira, and in the end, he just got stopped on the feet. Tough to see Izzy lose like that. I've watched all of Izzy's fights. I'm a fan of the guy. The last time I seen him lose was against Jan Blachowicz, where was that at? 205. Alex Pereira is super big. So maybe that's the next best thing that middleweights can start to do. Put on some muscle mass if you got to fight Izzy. I don't know. But Izzy's, to me, I thought he was a lightweight. Or not the lightweight. I still think he's the middleweight GOAT. Yeah, I could be wrong about that now. Maybe people have more love for Anderson. And I guess I can't complain now because we seen Izzy get finished. But that's how the fight played out, guys. I'm not too shocked because I was scared of this fight. That's why I put not confident at all. Usually when there's an Israel Adesanya fight, you're confident because we've seen a level of competition in the middleweight division. We've seen these guys, and when you match them up against Izzy, it's just not enough. So to see Izzy lose like that, it's tough to see. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, man, that's how the fight played out. We went 7-7 on the picks. Not great, but we didn't go negative. We went just positive at 7-7. So we'll take it. We got to do better. The UFC 280, we went 7-5, I think it was. And then for UFC 281, we went 7-7. So for UFC 282, we got to do better, man. We just got to do better. We got to get right. We got to get right. So we'll get right. But yeah, if y'all enjoyed that fight card, man, just drop a like. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are, man. Oh God, crazy fight card. I'm gonna jump on some more videos, man. So yeah, if y'all new to the channel, I appreciate all the new support. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and follow your boy on Twitter, man. The link is in the description at RealGemRanks. See you guys in the next video, man. I'm never doing that again. Peace.